It's MPJ. It's Musical People and Journeys. And us and my panel, me, Nigel Matthews, and my panel are on a journey. And they are, today, Chris, to Nathan, to Trish, and to Ian. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, how are we doing?
Hello.
Hello. Trish, tell me, what have people got to do out there? What do you think they should do? They like the show?
I would like them to like and subscribe and listen to our podcast.
Indeed. And today we are reviewing Reach and their album Prophecy, and then we're going to rate them out of 5. But you wouldn't know why I rate this hard until you tune in, everybody, to the Album of the Month show, where we're going to find out which of the 8 albums this wonderful panel have reviewed with me this month. So, who are Prophecy? They are a Swedish rock band. Their Facebook has 10k followers, but I couldn't find a proper bio on them. I couldn't find a bio on them. So let's go to our friend Chris, who is bound to have researched them to the 10th degree and told us what he thought of the band and their album Prophecy. Who are they, Chris?
If you couldn't find them, I haven't found them either. I'm going to keep this relatively short, unfortunately, because much like the bio that we found on them, I didn't really see the point behind this album. I have to confess, because all of my I listened through stuff on Spotify. I listened to one of the other albums that we reviewed this month, Sum 41, and then transitioned into this. And I have to confess, I'd either stopped paying attention to Sum 41 or just didn't pay attention to this because I didn't realise there was a change. I don't know. I didn't spot the point at which the album changed, and I was listening to different music. I didn't find anything about this particularly. It's nothing particularly bad. It's not particularly good. I just thought it was decent, run of the mill. I know they are 2 different sounding albums, but I just didn't spot that one had changed and the next one had started. That's how much attention I was paying, and that's how much it didn't grab me. So sorry guys, but that's just the way it is.
What, Nate? What about you? What did you think?
That's one of the weirdest reviews I've ever.
I know.
I know. Well,
I didn't
Chris
know.
is weird. Let's be honest about it. We love him, but he's weird.
I really liked it. I thought it was cool. It reminded me a bit of Panic at the Disco. In that, it doesn't sound similar, but it sounds like it should be a musical theatre piece. Like the heart of that album should be would be better on stage with a storyline. Unlike we talked about them just a minute ago when Green Day put American Idiot on stage, and it's the worst thing that's ever happened to theatre. This would be really good. The dynamics are fantastic. The vocals are incredible. The subtle choices of instrumentation. So I would bet. So on Prophecy, which is my favourite song, I thought it was a really strong opener. You would feel like it should be like humbucker pickups and a guitar to get a really chunky sound, but I'd put money on it being a sort of a Fender Strat or something like that, but the production around it, so the guitar cuts through, I think will make it so that they're able to play that kind of thing on radio rather than it being for proper heavy fans or whatever. It's got like elements of heavy, but it's acceptable. That's a lot like another album we're going to talk about as well. I thought it was really cool, quite sing-alongable, maybe not that memorable. I'd go with Chris, but I think that speaks more to the times and the sheer weight of content that comes out. And I mean that across the board, in music, film, all forms of media. For it something to be memorable now, you've really got to have a ridiculous amount of budget to like kill it with marketing or spam it all over Instagram. But I think it's really hard for things to be just memorable on their own merits. Certainly when you're listening to 8 other albums as well, I think it struggles. But good, and I love the album cover too.
Wow. Okay. The month is getting better for Nathan. It's improving. Ian.
Prophecy. I thought that the opening track absolutely sums them up perfectly. When you hear that, the energy, good music, and vocals, but too many riffs and emulations of stuff you've heard before. That's not quite as much criticism as it sounds. It's a good vehicle to use when you're producing something, but you tend to lose your own originality when you do that. Unlike everything that we reviewed earlier this month, they tend to these guys tend to lean into the influence too much in the whole production of the song, as opposed to just nodding it and then doing their own thing surrounding that. So they give you the taster of where their influences come from, but the rest of it is all their own. Whereas this, it's like, oh, that sounds a bit like this to it. And then that's sort of more the whole track. And that, I thought, was overall, they have a very... I was really surprised with Chris saying, I hadn't realised it switched. Because for me, and Chris is a huge Muse fan, I thought they had a very strong Muse influence to them. A very sort of Muse sound, not on every single track, but quite predominantly throughout the album. But they're a step away enough to be themselves, and I think maybe that is shown because Chris didn't realise it had transitioned, but I know how much Chris loves Muse. I was caught on the fence there. I absolutely loved it, really loved it. I just like it when bands are more themselves than what their influences are. Maybe that's too harsh, I don't know, but for me the standout tracks were Little Dreams, A Beautiful Life, Save the World. In fact, I'm going to stop saying there because etc every single I liked every song on the album. That's not something that happens very often, that you like every song of an album, but it's just it's the emulation rather than just nodding to something for me that just subtracted from the overall enjoyment of it. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. It's a real dichotomy, this one.
Yeah,
sorry.
Chat with yourself, I think, Ian.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. What did you think, Trish?
I'd not heard of them before, so I had no idea what to expect. And what a surprise I got when listening. Again, very Panic at the Disco sound musically and vocally, but with their own twist on this album and story of the songs. This album made me smile all the way through, and I couldn't wait to press play as soon as it had finished to listen again. I really loved the track, Not the Same. Good job.
Do you know what? My cliff notes here are very simple. An utterly cracking album, ... Panic at the Disco-esque. So we've all heard that similar kind of genre there, and yet it wasn't quite the same as Panic at the Disco, but you could feel its influence in there with them doing their own thing. And maybe go along with maybe influences from Muse as well. I think they did do their own thing. I didn't think it was a perfect album. I think I did kind of go like maybe because it was a bit sometimes too Panic at the Disco, and it wasn't quite maybe as good as their initial album. But this was a good album. This was a good, thoroughly enjoyable album, and I can't really say. Do you know when sometimes you just hear an album and you think, oh yeah, it was quite good, and you go like, yeah, but you don't know why it was quite good. It was just an enjoyable album, and I can't say anything really more or less than that about it. So I'm not sure it would be a forgettable album either, but it's not something I desperately want to go and listen to again, but I just enjoyed it. So, but definitely would listen to it on. Okay, do you agree? Maybe you can give us more of a biop about Prophecy, rather than just like, because if you go onto their Facebook, the website, there isn't a biop about who's in the band or whatever. It's just like, but they've got 10,000 Facebook followers, so they're obviously quite popular in Sweden, etc. there as well. But solid album, really good. Will it? I think this could be in one of the running for album of the month. Will it get our album of the month? Who knows? Tune in, find out what our ratings were, find out whether or not they're going to reach our Hall of Fame, and please, Ian, what have people got to do? What have they got to do? Talk to me, Ian.
They got to like Well, no, I agree with Chris. I'd like them to like,
Yeah, we would all like
subscribe,
them.
and share.
Indeed.
Absolutely,
Absolutely. Thank you very much for tuning
Cats
in,
is the worst
everybody.
musical, by the way.
Thank you for my panel, to Nathan, to Chris, to Trish, and to Ian. Thank you. Keep on rocking out there and tune in again. Thank you. Goodbye.